Japan went from dream trip to wallet nightmare. Vietnam just quietly became one of the best value destinations on Earth. Here's the real comparison. I want to be upfront about something before we get into it. Japan is one of the most extraordinary countries on Earth. I'm not here to tell you not to go. I'm here to show you exactly what going costs in 2026, compare it honestly against Vietnam, and let you make the call with real numbers in your hand. Because the gap between these two destinations has grown wider in the last 2 years than almost any comparison I've done. And the reasons are more interesting than just Japan is expensive. Subscribe before we get into it, and stay to the end because the verdict on this one is the most clear-cut of any comparison we've done this year. Let's start with what actually changed, because this isn't about Japan suddenly becoming bad. It's about exchange rates doing something brutal to travelers' budgets over the last 3 years. The yen has been weak since 2022, which sounds good for travelers, and for a while it was. But Japanese prices have started catching up. Hotels and guest houses in Kyoto and Tokyo have repriced dramatically in response to the post-pandemic travel surge. A country that felt accessible in 2018 now has accommodation costs that rival Western European capitals. Add flights, which have risen sharply on Japan routes, and a 2-week Japan trip for 2 people from the US or UK now realistically costs $5,000 to $8,000 all in. That's not a budget trip. That's a major financial commitment. Vietnam moved in the opposite direction. The 90-day e-visa opened up in 2023. Infrastructure quietly improved. Airports expanded, roads built, accommodation quality rose while prices barely moved. The Vietnamese dong stayed stable. The gap between what Vietnam offers and what it charges has widened every year since 2022. That's the setup. Now let's see what each country actually gives you for your money. Attractions. And this is genuinely the hardest category to compare because Japan and Vietnam are extraordinary in completely different ways. Japan's experiences are precise. Fushimi Inari in Kyoto, thousands of torii gates winding up a mountain, turning the entire hillside into a tunnel of orange, is one of the most visually iconic things you will see anywhere on Earth. Go before 7 a.m. and you'll have it nearly to yourself. Kyoto's temples and gardens are immaculate in a way that feels deliberate. Every stone, every raked gravel line, every maple tree placed exactly where it should be. The Hiroshima Peace Memorial is one of the most affecting places I've ever stood. And Tokyo, just Tokyo as an experience, is unlike any city on Earth. Entry fees. Most temples are $5 to $10. Hiroshima Memorial is free. Vietnam's experiences are raw in the best possible way. Ha Long Bay, 1,900 limestone islands rising from still green water, on a 2-night cruise that costs $80 to $120 with all meals included. Hoi An ancient town at night, lantern-lit and impossibly beautiful, entry pass is $5. Phong Nha Cave, an underground river so lit by natural light it glows blue. Day tour is $15 to $25. The Hue Imperial Citadel, one of the great UNESCO sites in Asia, is $10. Japan is more polished. Vietnam is more surprising. Both will give you moments you won't forget. The difference is what those moments cost. Let's talk about accommodation, and this is where the comparison stops being close. Japan has something called a ryokan, a traditional guest house with tatami floors, futon bedding, a private garden, and a multi-course kaiseki dinner served in your room. It's one of the great travel experiences in the world. It also starts at $150 a night per person and goes to $400 and beyond for the celebrated ones. A basic business hotel in Tokyo or Osaka, clean, tiny, functional, runs $80 to $120. Even a capsule hotel in Shinjuku, where you sleep in a pod the width of your shoulders, is $40 to $60. Japan's budget floor is not low. In Vietnam, $25 to $35 a night gets you a private room in a quality guest house in Hoi An or Hanoi's Old Quarter, often with breakfast, sometimes with a rooftop. At $45 to $60, you're in boutique territory, small pools, garden courtyards, the kind of place that looks like a design hotel. The Ha Long Bay overnight cruise I mentioned, $80 to $120. That's a private cabin on a boat on one of the most beautiful bodies of water in Asia. That's not a budget compromise, that's extraordinary value. For a week of accommodation, you're spending $560 to $840 in Japan at the budget level. In Vietnam, $175 to $245. Same week, same comfort level. That gap is the entire argument. Let's getting around, and Japan wins this one so convincingly it almost feels unfair to compare. The Shinkansen is one of the genuinely great achievements of modern transport. Bullet trains running on time to the minute, covering 500 kilometers in 2.5 hours, with food carts and views of Mount Fuji if you sit on the right side. A Japan Rail Pass for 2 weeks costs $400 to $500 and covers most long-distance routes. The Tokyo Metro is brilliant, complicated at first, but logical, and costs $1.50 to $3 per ride. Getting around Japan is genuinely a pleasure. Vietnam's transport is not a pleasure in the same polished way. It's something better. It's an adventure. Renting a motorbike for $5 to $8 a day and riding the Hai Van Pass at sunrise, the road top gear called one of the best in the world, is an experience no bullet train replicates. The overnight sleeper bus from Ho Chi Minh to Da Nang is $10 to $15, and you wake up somewhere completely different. The coastal train through the Central Highlands is $30 and one of the most beautiful rail journeys in Asia. Japan wins on infrastructure. Vietnam wins on feeling. On pure cost, it's no contest. Vietnam. Food, and I've saved this for last because both countries do it so well that putting either one down feels wrong. Japan's food is extraordinary in a way that borders on spiritual. A bowl of ramen from a proper Tokyo shop, the broth that's been simmering for 18 hours, the perfectly calibrated noodle, costs $10 to $14. Sushi from a conveyor belt restaurant is $15 to $25 and genuinely better than most sit-down sushi restaurants in the West. A convenience store onigiri in Japan from a Lawson or 7-Eleven is $1.50 and is somehow one of the best things you'll eat in the country. Japan's food culture runs from $1.50 to $300, and almost all of it is good. Vietnam's food is a different kind of extraordinary. It's the food that makes you rethink what value means. A bowl of pho from a street stall is $1.50 to $3. The best banh mi you will ever eat is 80 cents to $1.50. Vietnamese egg coffee in Hanoi, strong espresso, whipped egg yolk cream on top, $1.50. You eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at local spots and spend $8 to $12 on food that is genuinely some of the best in the world. Japan, $25 to $40 a day eating well. Vietnam, $8 to $15. Both are worth every cent they cost. Vietnam just costs almost nothing. So, here is the verdict, and I told you at the start this was the most clear-cut comparison we've done. Vietnam wins on budget. Completely, definitively, and without much argument. A 2-week trip for 2 people costs $1,200 to $2,000 in Vietnam. The same trip in Japan costs $5,000 to $8,000. Vietnam isn't just cheaper, it's a different financial category entirely. But Japan is worth saving for. That's not a consolation prize, it's genuine advice. Japan is the kind of destination that rewards you for going once, going properly, and not cutting corners. A ryokan in Kyoto, the Shinkansen at dawn, a bowl of ramen from a shop that's been open for 60 years, these things have a price, and the price is correct. Go to Vietnam now. It's extraordinary, it's accessible, and the window where it costs this little and feels this undiscovered is not permanent. Save for Japan. Go when you can do it right. Don't try to do Japan on a Vietnam budget. You'll spend the whole trip doing the maths instead of living the experience. That's the honest answer. Both countries deserve better than a compromise trip. Japan or Vietnam? Which one's next for you? Drop it in the comments. And if you've done Japan on a tight budget and made it work, I genuinely want to know how.